CLOUNMACON National School, where his teachers were Paddy Finucane and Mrs. McMahon, the mother of the late Brian McMahon. The home where Paddy Finucane was born. When the River Gale overflowed, the dwelling house used to be covered halfway up. They would often have to live in the loft for 3 weeks, and neighbours used to bring them food on horseback. This photo shows Paddy's brother Jack, his wife Peggy, children Mary and Bernie. Paddy Finucane at 17, in his first suit, made by the O'Connors, who were tailors from Dail. Paddy joined the volunteers and fought against the Black and Tans, and later took the anti-treaty side in the Civil War. Paddy's wife, Leo Finucane, from Coilbee, Moyvane. They were married in 1920 and had 5 children: Liam, Mick, Mona, Betty, Eileen. In 1942, Paddy was first elected to Kerry County Council as a farmer's candidate for CLOUNMACON. He was now living on his farm in Urlee, Zelton. At a meeting in the stall for the Kerry Farmers Association, he was asked to run on behalf of the farming community in the general election of 1943. He ran as an independent candidate and was elected as TD for North Kerry. In his first election, Paddy received 6,957 final votes. In May 1944, he received a final vote of 8,784. In February 1948 election, he received a final vote of 6,414. The general election held in May 1951, Paddy received a final vote of 6,844. In the election of May 1954, he got a final vote of 7,336. The general election held 3 years later, in March 1957, he received a final vote of 6,994. The October 1961 general election saw Paddy receive a final vote of 7,564. In April 1965, he received a final vote of 7,871. Contesting 8 general elections over 26 years, Paddy held his seat until he retired from politics in 1969 due to an accident. Paddy Finucane's team of election workers are seen here in this picture of the Count in Tralee in April 1965. Among them are Donal Buckley, Humphrey O'Connor, John Paul McMahon, Mikey Kennelly, Mikey Barry, Bob Boland, Ned Purtell, Jack Finucane, Tim Griffin, Matty Welch, Mike Joe Barry, Dennis O'Connor, Padraig Hanrahan, Pat and John Nolan, John Ford from Castle Island, and Mick Finucane. Paddy with his brother-in-law Paddy O'Donnell outside the RDS in Dublin during the 1960s. A photograph of the Kerry Farmers Association at a meeting in the Listowel Arms Hotel in the early 1960s. In March 1962, hundreds of farmers protested in Tralee, demanding health and road services be made a national charge. An increase on the current rate would be an unbearable burden on all sections of the community, and the result would be decrease and bankruptcy, said Deputy Finucane, who added that they were elected to the council on their promises to seek by every means in their power to lighten the intolerable burden. A personal message to the people of North Kerry from Paddy Finucane. Acora, once again it is my privilege to stand as your candidate for the forthcoming general election. I am fully aware of the hopes, fears, needs, struggles and hardships of the farmers of North Kerry, and of the workers and of the shopkeepers who derive their livelihood indirectly from the land. I have done my share in connection with afforestation, drainage, land projects and roads for rural areas. I have tried to get the means test and old age pensions abolished. I am actively engaged in endeavouring to get the government to make the health service a national charge, or alternatively to increase their contribution from 50% to 75%. With your help, I will continue to fight for these. This election is being held under very changed conditions brought about by the Electoral Act 1961. The principal change in our constituency being the reduction in the number of your representatives from 4 to 3. For this reason, every vote is of the utmost importance to me, and I earnestly appeal to you to support me by giving me your number 1 vote. But if this is not possible, I shall be most grateful for your other supporting votes. If elected, I promise that I will, in the future, as in the past, be at all times at your service and willing to help you to the very utmost of my ability. Thanking you sincerely, Michel Amas, Paddy Finucane. Paddy Finucane married Nuala O'Donnell from Dublin in 1950. The car in this picture of their honeymoon in Dublin is a Morris Crowley. Paddy and Nuala with their daughter Bernadette. Paddy Finucane was born near the River Gale. This footage shows the river near Moyvane in flood in the 1940s, before the Brick and Cashen Drainage scheme started. Paddy Finucane TD was the man who got the Brick and Cashen Drainage scheme moving in North Kerry in the 1950s. The rivers were widened, straightened and made deeper to take the flow of water. Estimated to cost over £1 million, the scheme started in 1951. The work lasted up to 4 years, employing many farmer sons and other people that wanted work in North Kerry, as not many jobs were available at that time. This footage shows work in the Gale River with a drag line driven by Liam Lynch of Ballybunion. George McEnany of Gurta also worked as a driver.
Our photograph now is taken in Ballybunion at the house of Dr. Hannon Ballybunion, who was a great supporter of the Brick and Cashen Drainage. And in the background we have McMahon's house, and the photograph of the three men. On the left is Paddy Finucane, the TD responsible for bringing the drainage. An engineer from the Board of Works in the middle, and John Donal TD, who was Minister at the Department of Board of Works. This was taken possibly in 1950-51. So now joined by Mrs. Donal. This clip now are photographs of the very first machine, the biggest track machine in England or Ireland, that arrived in Ballybunion for the start of the Brick and Cashen Drainage. Now we're back at the Cashen again, where work has started with a number of machines, a number of drag lines and bulldozers in action, where they had to change the course of the river over to the Ballyduff side from the Ballybunion side. They're building a bank all the way up along to divert the river out. These are some of the machines just working at the site. On the far side, the houses that we see are over in the Cashen. The machines are now out at where the river just meets the tide. Great accuracy displayed by the drivers of these machines. All this due to the great work of Paddy Finucane.